Welcome to Pink Radio with Prestige. This is the place for you, the diva boss entrepreneur who needs quick tips on building your crave-worthy brand. This is your host, Nicole Doss, CEO of the Prestige Society, a membership organization for women entrepreneurs who believe in building powerful networks while slanging in their industries. So I want you to go ahead and grab your favorite cup of coffee and get your favorite tips right here with Prestige. Hey, everyone. It's your girl, Nicole Doss, and we are back with another episode of Pink Radio with Prestige. I am super excited for this particular episode because I'm not here by myself. I'm actually here with Kiara Benschop. Say hello, Kiara.
Hello, everyone.
And so, Kiara is going to be here to just kind of co-host with me and talk us through some of the topics that we're going to explore today. But before I do so, there's two things that I definitely want to bring up with you guys. The first one is letting you know who this episode is sponsored by, and that is Creations by Jen. So for all of you fabulous Pink Radio with Prestige listeners, you get the opportunity of being able to get 15% off of your floral arrangements. All you have to do is just tell them Pink Radio with Prestige. That's it. It's that simple. That's your code. And in order for you to be able to place your order, you're either going to go to www.thecreationsbyjen, that's with 2 N's.com, or you're just going to give her a call at 856-780-2022. The second thing that I want to go over with you, fabulous listeners, is that there is going to be an awesome, life-changing conference happening October 12th in Philadelphia, and it's called the Pray and Slay Conference. And so that is actually being created and hosted by myself, as well as Elaine Johnson and Davita Garfield. So if you are interested in purchasing tickets or getting more information, please feel free to do so by going to www.prayandslayconference.com. So you go there, buy the tickets, because tickets are right now an early bird special at $67, and that price is only going to remain at that price until August 15th. Anytime after that, tickets actually will go up to $97. So please be sure to go to the website, get information. We are constantly adding more information up there. We have an opportunity for vendors. We have an opportunity for sponsors. So definitely at this moment, if you're interested in learning how to build your business, if you're tired of going to seminars and workshops and conferences where they're not really giving you specific information, go to the website and learn exactly the things that we are covering. And like I said, we are confirming speakers. We have panels confirmed. So as information comes in, we'll be updating that website so that you can get more information on what the schedule looks like. So we want you to be in now. All right. So those are the two biggest pieces of information I wanted to get out the way before we jump right in with our fabulous Kiara Benschop. So before I actually jump into today's topic, Kiara, why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about what you do, who you are, and how fabulous you are?
I am what Nicole likes to call a serial entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. I love just the aspect of this, like working for yourself and fueling your goals and your dreams. And while I understand that, we sometimes need to have that corporate position to actually get us the funding, overall, I'm just an entrepreneur at heart. And so what I try to do is I try to tie different things that I'm passionate about or that I enjoy into business endeavors. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of started out doing travel, and I have a boutique travel agency called Jet Setter Travel. And I have always had a passion for real estate, and so more recently I became a licensed realtor. And my website is Jet Setting Realtor. And so I'm trying to kind of tie my love of travel with the love of real estate. And while there isn't like a license right now that allows you to practice in all of the U.S. territories, it's a heavily referral type of business. And so I can kind of utilize the connections that I make when traveling and kind of get referral business if I'm unable to actually practice real estate in that area. I would say those are the two main entrepreneurial endeavors that I have right now. However, I did have a concession stand for 2 years called Snack Time. We took a break this year. We may do it again next year. And even with that, we figured that we would start off doing this seasonal concession stand, but ultimately wanting to grow it into a food truck or a restaurant. That was a business that I partnered with my mother and my future sister-in-law. And again, it's very lucrative, but anyone that works in like the food industry knows that it is a lot of work. My goal is to work smarter and not harder. So I really do try to focus on things that kind of have, what is it called? Like when you're making the money?
Passive income.
Right, passive income. If I don't necessarily have to like go super hard and work hard for the income to come, then that is an ideal opportunity because, we just don't have that much time in a day to be able to dedicate physical hours of work.
Right.
And I guess that's it for now. I mean, I'm always kind of doing something outside of even just me being a realtor. In like a month, I'll be closing on my first investment property. And I also want to kind of utilize my credentials as a realtor and help people who are looking to become investors in the whole real estate industry as well.
Right. I love it. And the reason why I think you are a perfect co-host for today is because our topic for today is get your pitch boss. So the reason why we're talking about getting your pitch is because ultimately we're finding that more and more girl bosses see the need for them to be able to generate multiple streams of income with their businesses and their brands. And so when they are creating these multiple streams, sometimes those streams are very well connected. So it's very easy for you to be able to convey the message of why you are creating this new arm or this new stream of business. And sometimes, you may have one stream of business when I think of like Nicole Green. So she is the founder of Motivating Young Moms, but then also the co-founder of Healthcare Advocates. And so healthcare senior advocates. And so sometimes it's hard for you to be able to see those connections. And so it's really important for people to, as we're starting to build more and more of these different streams of income, how do we build that bridge? How do we build those connectors where we're able to tell people or give the right message out to how all of these things are all connected when you are talking to investors or talking to collaborators or talking to potential clients. And let me explain to you why we're even exploring this. So not only because we're finding that girl bosses are creating more and more streams of revenue, but also what's happening is that in the failure and the absence of creating those connections, what's happening is that there's a creation of confusion. And of course, people know the saying, a confused buyer does not buy. And so now what's happening is that a lot of these girl bosses are upset because they're not seeing a lot of engagement with their targeted demographic, or they're not seeing a lot of excitement with people trying to figure out where they can, buy a ticket or, buy their book or buy into whatever this new thing is that they're actually creating. So one of the things I love about Kiara is that before she even went into real estate, she really thought about how she could merge the real estate side and the traveling side together. And so, that was a whole conversation she was having. I remember you were like, oh, is it real estate school or do I go for this like real estate master's kind of thing of like international real estate where, she wanted the opportunity of saying, this is how I can travel and use my traveling business to take clients who are interested in real estate abroad. So always thinking about those connectors. And sometimes it's okay to say this thing is completely separate. Just like I mentioned before, Nicole Green. So Nicole Green is actually the president of my Philadelphia chapter. Kiara is actually the vice president of my Philadelphia chapter. And so with Nicole Green, she lets you know MYM is something that is very separate, right? It's her passion, it's her baby. It's a thing that she is driven to do because of things that she has gone through in her life, where her business with her husband is her business for her husband. It's her livelihood. It's how she pays the bills. It is very separate. There's really no connectors there, and the messaging is very separate, and everything that you see from the social media is very separate. So there's no confusion. People understand the nonprofit part of her business is for her advocacy that she believes in, while the for-profit side of her business is for her and her husband to pay their bills. And so although I think it's okay not to have everything connect, I think it is very important for you to understand your pitch. It's very important for you to understand that vision and mission of your brands, so that if there are connectors, then it makes sense. Having two separate things is one thing. When you start having 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 very separate things, it just looks like mass confusion. So you know me. I like to jump right into the 3 different reasons why, or how you get to this point, right? So how do you create your pitch? And Kiara, just jump on in. So just, tell us I'm going to ask you for your feedback. You give me your feedback and we go from there. Sounds good?
Yes.
Awesome sauce. So the first thing that I suggest that you do is write a one-liner of what your company is and how you help your customers. So when I think about like my pitch for the Prestige Society, it really has not changed. It's still, the Prestige Society is a membership organization for women entrepreneurs. There's your what, who believe in building powerful networks while slaying in their industries. That's your how. So how do you do it? We build powerful networks, and it supposedly at that point is supposed to position you to be a leading expert in your industry, or an industry leading brand. And so that's really easy peasy, right? And normally what happens from there is that people ask more. Oh, then how do we meet? How do people get in? What do you do? And what areas do you help? But what it does, it allows them to spark the conversation without being very confused. So one sentence, what do you think about that one sentence? What are some things you think they should include in that one sentence, other than what your company is and how you help them? Or do you think that's a good start? Or what are some of your things?
No, I think that is a really, really good start. And then maybe even putting a little personal touch. So, like, I don't have my statement memorized like you.
Right. It's
okay. But just in terms of real estate, what I try to push to people is that, number one, I've always had a passion for real estate. But also, two, I have a passion for educating people. And so I'm not just here to, like, help you buy a house or sell a home.
Right.
I'm here to help you educate,
right.
Learn about the real estate industry, learn about, the income opportunities, and kind of even learn, how to invest. So maybe even just putting a personal touch into, your personal why, or just something along those lines really helps. But I think that is a good start, because again, like you said, you give at least the little basis of information and people are going to ask questions.
Right.
You don't want, and I mean, like, good questions, not like questions trying to dig and figure out, but
your business secrets.
Right. But just like questions where they are engaged and they want to know more. So something
right.
that kind of intrigues people, gives them a little bit and makes them, take a bite and say, now I'm interested in learning more.
Right. And I usually call that, the way that you take a hot lead or a lead into becoming a hot lead. It's all about this transition of how do you take someone from being really interested in peeking into your business to then being signed with you as an actual paying client. And so when you have those questions, to Kiara's point, take place, those questions get them closer and closer to becoming that client with you. And I like what she says about the why, because I really do believe that adding that why piece is important. But the one thing that I think that you should keep in mind as well is that being concise and having that brevity is going to be a necessity, because that means that you've really put some thought into how do you put your brand into one sentence. The reason why I say that is because when I ask people, oh, what do you do? Or, how does this work? When I coach, girl bosses, normally what ends up happening is they can't find the right words. And so they're fishing and they're trying to help you understand what they do with the brand. And it just becomes this run-on sentence that has you more confused than when you first asked the question. So definitely, putting that personal spin on it, answering the questions of what and how, and making it one sentence is going to help you in really making it clear to those that you're talking to. And let me make this very clear as to why you need to do this. There are always opportunities in every interaction that you have with people. So whether there's an interaction with someone who could potentially be a collaborator, with someone who could potentially be a client, with someone who knows someone who could use your services, there's always an opportunity. And when you are not connecting those pieces, when you fail to help someone understand how they can use your services, what ends up happening is that then you lose out on a sale opportunity because you couldn't get your pitch together. Like, you got to get your pitch together. And it really is simple as that. Sometimes we call pitches elevator pitches, right? Because you should be able to say your pitch and what you do with your company from literally just a ride up an escalator. So this is why it's really important for you to get into this space where you're able to really be concise, be brief, but be absolutely informative and clear as to what you do and how you do it. All right.
Can I interrupt really quick?
Absolutely.
So also, too, I think to your point, like if you are unable to even sit down and write this statement,
right,
when you have that opportunity, whether you're on like a phone call or in person with a potential lead,
right,
you're going to lose that business because you lack the confidence.
Right.
You don't have the confidence. And, I've always heard this saying that like people don't support businesses, they support like the people behind the business.
Right.
And so, I mean, you could have this amazing business, but if, when people meet the person behind the brand, they don't really connect or resonate at all, it's going to be a conflict of interest. Even just like as a realtor, I don't necessarily know everything, right? I don't pretend to know everything.
Right.
Even in my role now as a trainer, like if I don't know the answer, I'll just tell them I'll get you the answer.
Right.
So
right.
I'm perfectly fine with communicating that. However, I do have a level of confidence to where, I had an open house last weekend and I met some people and we connected, and I try to be like a really good judge of character. So out of like the 5 families that came, I knew immediately that like I wanted to work with 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then I knew that this one couple that came that turned out to not be a couple, I didn't want to work with them.
Right.
I didn't really like the vibes. I didn't really like the energy. And so, I made sure to follow up with those other couples. And after kind of talking to them at the house and then having our first initial phone consultation, she was like, my husband and I, we want to work with you. We want to sign a deal. And so it's because they liked me.
Right.
Like they liked whatever the confidence and whatever I was giving off. I was able to answer their questions. If I didn't know the answer, I said, hey, I'll table it. I'll circle back and get you the answer. But again, you just really need to be as put together as possible, right? Not all scattered, because again, depending on the type of service that you're offering, if I appear to be like super scattered and all over the place, a person wouldn't want to work with me as a realtor.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's huge. So you have that, guys, confidence and your one-liner of what do you do, how do you do it, and like Kiara said, put a little personal touch on that thing and add a why. All right. Was that my meeting that came up on your phone? Okay, I was going to say. Don't mind us. We're just out here working our businesses. So, that's how it goes over here. Okay, next. Number 2, create 3 buckets of your focus areas. So you're probably like, what? So here's the thing. This is for the girl boss who has all of these different streams of income where there are connectors. So I'll take me for example. I have 3 buckets. My 3 buckets are networking, continuous learning, and coaching. Those are the 3 things that I usually focus on when it comes to prestige. So if I'm focused on networking, I have a platform for that through the Prestige Society. If I'm focused on continuous learning, there's always learning that is involved. Or whenever I do events, it's always around the continuous learning and helping the girl boss learn. And then coaching, I'm always helping and giving some strategic, advice if it's through things like this podcast, or providing coaching services to those who are either members who have the coaching services tied to their membership, or those who hire me as a coach through ad hoc services. So everything that I do is it really just comes down to 3 actual buckets. And one thing that it does, it keeps me honest, right? So if I'm doing things that fall outside of it, it makes me really question what's the purpose of this, trying to do this? How can I make it connect to the three things that I'm focused on? Because my focus areas, I believe, are tied to my purpose. I believe in connecting people. I believe it's a gift that I have. I always connect people to other people. I also believe that I am here to teach and here to help and here to lead. And I also believe that I do that through coaching. So all of my buckets really are connected to my purpose. So because of that, it keeps me honest when certain things pop up. Like, honestly, I'm transparent here. So I really want to get into investing as well. So although I do not want to become a real estate agent, I really want to get into REI, so which is real estate investing. And part of it, one, is because it's a completely underrepresented industry from the women's perspective. So women are always known from being the agents, but we're not showing up in high numbers on the investor side. And I want to help change that. And I know other girl bosses out there like Kiara, like Elaine Johnson, who also want to change that and want to help in that. But I find myself constantly saying, like, okay, Nicole, where does this fall in your three buckets? And so, I don't know, I kind of struggle with where it falls in three buckets. I think I've forced it to kind of go into a certain bucket. So the bucket would be around, one, creating a network of female investors, real estate investors, who can share inside information, among it being a sisterhood, and then teaching others who are also afraid. I mean, the four pillars of wealth is owning a business, real estate, and annuities, as well as foreign exchange. So with those four different cornerstones of cornerstones that help build wealth, you have to ask yourself, where do you fall in this? And the whole point of it is, how do you build it from a generational standpoint to be able to pass this on? So yes, I have a home. I own a home with my husband, and that would always be like my children's family home. But the question is, what other real estate properties do I have that I can pass off to my children? Once again, annuities is something that would help take care of your beneficiaries well after you're gone. And then as well as having things like foreign exchange, I don't know much about that. I exchange stocks on, the NYSE, which is the New York Stock Exchange. So getting more into foreign exchange is interesting, but that fits into like the four buckets of wealth for me. So how do I teach that to like entrepreneurs or other women entrepreneurs to understand that they could use the real estate side as a piece of building part of their wealth, their generational wealth? So I don't know, I still kind of struggle with that, but I know that but it's a new opportunity that was presented to me. So whenever I have those new opportunities, I really try to say, like, okay, how does this fit into one of your three focus areas? So I think it's important to create those three buckets. If three is too much, fine, go with two, but it should go anywhere from 2 to 3. So for me, that's like how it keeps me grounded, but also make sure that there's always a connector point. So also, and I'm always thinking about the messaging, the marketing messaging that I'm going to be doing, the things I'm going to be putting out there. So the question is, when people see me, how do they connect those dots? How do they connect all those three things as well? So Kiara, for you, I mentioned my 3 buckets and what I think is really important. What are the 3 buckets that you think are really important when you are introduced with a new business opportunity?
I think that networking is important. I'm like a connector and master networker, and I feel like in all my businesses, and I try to tell people this as well, like, different deals and leads and things are not just ever going to fall into your lap. So right. It's through the power of networking and getting yourself out there and meeting people and connecting that you do truly find opportunities, whether it's, an opportunity to make money, it's a business partner, whatever that case may be. I literally went to Dominican Republic like 4 years ago, met a woman, and then we became travel partners, and we were doing group trips and things like that.
Awesome.
So I really, truly believe in the power of networking, and even from a real estate perspective, I see how important it is. Also, too, the continuous learning piece, the education. I love learning new things. I love trying new things, and not only do I love to learn and try these things, but I really get a kick and enjoy educating others and sharing that information. I truly believe that, if we're going to push the culture forward,
right.
It's my job to, when I learn something, share it with people.
Right.
And also too, I do realize that sometimes you kind of drop gems on people and they're not ready to receive it. I also have the ability to kind of see that, and I'll still share with you, but I'm not going to like waste my energy or too much time because you're just not ready to kind of like make those moves.
Right.
And then also too, I guess like even with the travel, right? It's luxury travel at affordable prices. So I guess you could say I try to offer people like a higher standard of living.
Right.
But it's kind of like balling on a budget almost, because I, in my personal life, don't believe in like paying full price for anything, and I love like deals and sales, but I do enjoy quality things and nice things. So I guess I'm all about, how to have that luxurious lifestyle, but on a budget. So, like how to make a business and have a business that's bringing in good money, but you didn't really have to put a lot of money out. Even with the travel, how do you go somewhere that is amazing and makes you feel like royalty, but you didn't pay the royalty price tag. Right. So I'm really, really big on like how to provide that luxurious lifestyle, a better standard than just that like living paycheck to paycheck or, paying bills to die. Like that's not for me. Right. And I don't want that for anyone else.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it looks like for you, I wrote down some notes here. So it looks like your first bucket is all about believing in the power of networking. So whenever a business opportunity comes up, you're thinking about like, how could I network with others, whether it's for collaboration opportunities, or things like getting access to new resources that you may not have. So right. Being able to network within that business opportunity is important to you. The second one is around a higher standard of living. So how do you create these opportunities for people too, which kind of pushes me to your third bucket that I wrote down that I absolutely love that you said, was how do you raise the bar, helping to push the culture forward? Can we make a t-shirt with that? That was so cute. I was like, okay. Yeah. So I really, really love that you said that. So how do you push the culture forward? I think that ties it all up. Like whenever you look at a business opportunity, it's around pushing the culture forward.
Right.
And you ask yourself, like, how do these things align? And it's because it all started with the Jet Setter brand itself, and that became almost like your mission and vision for all of the different streams that come under the Jet Setter brand.
Right. And even before that, I think that like when a word comes to mind, like I'm an advocate, right? I'm an advocate for my community. I'm an advocate for the different business opportunities. But I always remember like having a conversation with my mom around like my name, right? I hate my middle name. It's Dominique. And
why do you hate Dominique?
I don't know. I don't.
You look like a Dominique. Like
don't
that
say
needed
that.
to be your whole first name.
Because
hey, Dom.
The Dominiques that I encounter, they're a little rough around the edges.
I mean, I know a Dom that's a little rough, but I love me some Dom. Hey,
I mean,
Dom.
I don't have nothing against it, but just one day we were talking and she was like, yeah, that was almost going to be your first name.
Yeah, I needed that to be your first name.
And then I was like, so, what made you land on, Kiara as the first name? And she said that she was like reading a book, and there's plenty of different meanings, but you got to make sure where it was derived from.
Right.
So she was reading like an African book, and it said that the name Kiara means to change or make a difference.
Oh.
And I've always like felt like, oh, that name fits me, because that's what I really want to try to do. I want to try to change or make a difference in the community and people's lives, and really just be like a beacon of light. Like I didn't really come from like the roughest upbringing, but I didn't come from the best. We didn't have a silver spoon. It was a single parent household.
Absolutely.
And we had our struggles. And I just want to really, show people that, you don't have to be a product of your environment or your circumstances. And, you can be better and you can be more. Like, don't make excuses. Don't try to say, well, I didn't have a dad. I didn't have a mom. There's plenty of people that I know who were raised by drug addicts or raised themselves because their parents were drug addicts, and they're, successful.
Right.
And success doesn't have to be like material, but if you're happy, you feel like you're living in your purpose, you're thriving, then you're successful. But overall, I really do want to try to like change and make a difference in the people that I encounter lives.
I like it. I like it a lot. So that brings us to number 3. And number 3 is always look for ways to connect the dots. And I think that's really important for us to do whenever we are being either introduced to an opportunity that's a new business opportunity, or if we're trying to create some marketing messaging around how it's all connected. And I gotta say this, failure to do so just means you're not going to have success in any one area. Not mentioning names, but I remember there was this one girl boss I knew. She did like 10,000 things. Like, girl, she did so much stuff. And it was like, how? And I'm not even going to tell you what she did. I mean, we're just going to leave it at that. She did a lot of different things all across the board in all different areas. And the problem was that there was never any messaging that connected for the audience what the connections were. And then, like, where's the entry level, or the entryway that you come into where you can say, okay, this is where I need to be, or this is where I need to go to start working with this person, and how we transition through all these different areas. So it just became a really, I think, like a frustrating space for her because there was no real success across all the board. It was just like, start a business and not really seeing a lot of traction. Then you're frustrated. You still have that business going. Now you start up another one. So connecting the dots is going to be very, very important for people to say, hey, this makes sense. I want to be able to buy from you. So those are our 3 tips for today. The first one is going to be writing your one sentence of how and what you do, but then also, like Kiara said, put that personal spin on it and make sure that you add the why. The second piece to this is going to be also making sure that you are able to put your business into 3 buckets. I mean, and think about it. Even if you have all these different streams of income, the reality is that you also have a brand that is a parent company that is acting as that bridge, as that umbrella. It's the connector for all of those different streams. So you should be able to really speak to what the 3 focus areas are for that parent company, and every single thing that you do that falls under that umbrella should be able to fall into one of those buckets. And last but not least, just make sure that it always connects. Always look for those connecting dots. So with that, I'm going to say have an awesome, wonderful, and fabulous day. Before we sign off, Kiara, do you have any last words that you want to give to the girl bosses out there?
Also be consistent. Like you said, don't give up. So just because something didn't work or get the return that you were looking for in the time period that you were looking for, don't give up, because you never know who was watching. And you always tell me, you sometimes have to touch someone at least 7 different ways for them to actually buy in. So just be consistent and, believe in yourself and just keep going. Like, even when you feel like you want to give up, keep going, because you never know when, that connection that you're looking to make, you're going to actually make it.
Those are Kiara's famous last words. Those are words I live by that she told me that rang in my ears. So those were really great last words, because we're sometimes ready to hang up an idea or ready to just kind of give up before we even really did the work required to see traction. So that was a good one, Key. Thank you. All right, ladies, have a wonderful, awesome, and most of all, blessed day. Bye.